David Raskin is recording a video showcasing his invention as he applies for a physics fellowship at MIT. David introduces his friends Adam and Quinn, who collaborated on creating the invention, while his sister Christina is recording. He showcases a drone that can be controlled by his hands. 37 days after applying, David receives a letter from MIT saying that he is accepted to the university, but only got $5,000 in financial aid. It's much lower than he was expecting and doesn't know what to do. The following day, as David and his friends are returning from school, they notice a sale sign placed in front of his house. After entering the house, David's mother explains that they would cover MIT's finances by selling the house. Reluctant to see his mother sell the house, David ventured into the attic, searching through his father's belongings in hopes of finding something that could inspire an idea. Accompanied by Christina, they stumble upon their father's video camera, which catches Christina's attention. After turning the camera on, they discover that it is playing a recording of David's 7th birthday celebration. Curious, David returns to his room and watches the movie when suddenly he catches a glimpse of his own reflection at the same age in the mirror within the footage. David promptly contacts Christina, Quinn, and Adam, gathering them together to share the discovery. He points out his picture in the footage and reveals that he is wearing the same t-shirt, which has a distinct stain on it in the movie. In the movie, David's hand is behind the wall, where an electric light switch is connected to the basement. Realizing this, they all enter the basement, which is filled with his father's belongings. There, David hears a distinct sound accompanying the act of turning the power on and off. Following the sound, they trace it to a hatch in the basement floor. Inside the hatch, they discover the same bag that David's father was holding in the movie. To their surprise, the bag contains a glass circuit board. After carefully examining the available blueprints and documents, they conclude that they might find a time machine. David and his sister, along with Quinn and Adam, go to get the supplies needed to build a time machine after school. They connect the batteries and accessories to the glass circuit and turn on the time machine. But when Christina's hair stands up and a light bulb in their hand lights up mysteriously, they face a problem. The device can't keep working. The following day, their attempts are unsuccessful once again, and it leads to an explosion. Amid the explosion, a liquid splatters into David's shirt, revealing the identical stain that had been observed on David's t-shirt in the movie. They realize they need hydrogen for the device to work properly. That night, they covertly sneak into the school, find the password of the locked room, obtain the hydrogen from the warehouse, and swiftly return to the basement. Now that their equipment is complete, they set their sight on sending a toy car back in time by 60 seconds. However, they soon realize that they require a powerful battery that could simultaneously charge itself while providing the necessary power to the device. That night, David's neighbor throws a party, inviting all the school kids, and David's crush, Jessie Pierce, is also there. David approaches Jessie at the party and requests her to bring her car. He intends to secretly utilize Jessie's car battery for their purposes. They carefully connect the device to Jessie's car battery, and they proceed to activate the time machine once again. Just as the device is activating, Jessie bursts into the scene and asks what they are up to. Afterward, the device suddenly shut down, causing a power outage, but the toy car had vanished. David finds the car stuck halfway into the basement wall. To his surprise, the clock inside the car displays a time that is 2 hours earlier. David and his friends explain to Jessie that they just built a time machine. While David and his friends are sitting in the school playground, Jessie approaches them. David's eye lands on Jessie's car key, leaving him filled with surprise. Then everyone goes with Jessie to watch the birthday movie, only to find out that the car key she had is identical to the one David held in the movie. David suggests trying the time machine on a plant this time, but Jessie insists that based on all the evidence, it would be better to try it on themselves, and she urges him to take action without further delay. Excitedly, they decide to embark on their first time travel journey, intending to travel 24 hours back in time. They all hop into Jessie's car and drive to an empty area. Despite their lingering doubts, they gather their courage and stay ready to begin their time travel journey. Finally, David activates the device, and within moments, each of them finds themselves lying in different corners. After everyone regains their senses, they head to Quinn's house to ensure the machine works. While Quinn is sleeping, he uses a marker to draw on the back of his neck, and the same shape appears on his. At that moment, Quinn wakes up and sees himself, causing both versions of Quinn to start fading away. Acting quickly, David takes Quinn out of there. They run through the streets filled with happiness and excitement, shouting with glee that they succeed. Suddenly, one of the neighbor's dogs begin to follow them. They gather together, and David quickly activates the time machine to escape the situation. When they regain their senses, they embrace each other tightly, acknowledging their survival and the achievement of their mission. To their surprise, they realize that the neighbor's dog has also traveled through time with them. Upon returning home, they notice that the entire street is filled with signs that hadn't been there before. It is the lost sign for the dog, and that's when they realize they can change their reality. They all gather together and start establishing a set of rules regarding time travel. Firstly, they decide that no one should time travel alone. They always have to do it together. Secondly, they decide to document everything by recording videos during their time traveling. Thirdly, they agree that their time travel activities must remain a secret and should not be disclosed on any social media platforms. Each of them has a different wish related to the time machine, but David reminds everyone that the time machine can only go back a maximum of 3 weeks for now. They decide to help each other with their personal problems, starting with Queen's failed chemistry test. They travel back in time multiple times to the day of the exam, as each time the teacher asks new questions. Queen doesn't know the answers initially, but they keep trying until he finally passes the exam. In the second stage, Christina decides to take action against Sarah's harassment. She pours 2 glasses of drink onto Sarah's dress as a form of revenge. In the third stage, they travel to the past and make note of the winning lottery numbers that were announced. They intend to use this information to secure a prize of approximately $53 million. Unfortunately, Adam made a mistake while reading the numbers, and they only managed to get 5 correct numbers out of 6. As a result, their prize amount is reduced to $1.8 million. They all start buying things they desire with their winnings. Queen buys a Maserati car, and Christina purchases some expensive clothes. David decides to share some of his money with his mother and uses the remaining money to purchase a powerful battery. This battery allows them to travel back in time up to 10 years. The following day, Quinn arrives at the school in his Maserati, accompanied by several food trucks. He shares his joy and excitement with all the school kids, treating them to delicious food from the food trucks. David has a sudden idea and asks everyone to meet under the bleachers after class. When everyone gathers, David excitedly tells them that he has a surprise. He announces that they will be traveling back in time to an event that took place 3 months ago. Then David presses the time button. They travel to a magnificent outdoor event and are overcome with joy, unsure of what to do first. But Quinn adds that this show already happened and he knows what is sick and what isn't. Next, they wear the VIP tickets that David bought 3 months after the event for $5. They can do anything with it. Jessie, who already had a liking for David, finds herself completely falling in love with him after this surprise. While everyone is having a great time, David and Jessie finds themselves at the wish wall. While reading the writings on the wall, Jessie reads one that says, "Before the world ends, she wants to fall in love," and suddenly turns to David. But David, in a moment of confusion, reads yet another sentence from the wall. Jessie gets upset and leaves after David's unexpected reaction to her confession of love, and David quickly realizes his mistake. While everyone continues the party, David returns to them and suggests that they should head back because he isn't feeling well. They spent 9 hours at the show, but upon returning, they realize that only 41 seconds had passed. While everyone else left with happiness, Jessie and David couldn't find any joy in the situation. When David arrives home, he discovers that his mother has gotten a job. The following day, they discover that they have changed their reality so much. Queen has 18,000 followers, and Christina is now best friends with her bully. The next day, they all gather in the basement. Jessie suddenly announces that she has some work to do and leaves. In his alone time, David watches the movie of the show repeatedly, preparing himself to go back and fix the mess that had occurred. David, determined to set things right, goes back to the day of the show alone, and while reading the wishes on the wall, he kisses Jessie on the lips. Excitedly, David returns home and anxiously awaits the outcome of his action. He dials Jessie's number, but a realization hits him. Her phone is in his room. At that moment, Jessie enters David's room, wearing only a towel, leaving David in confusion, as he realizes that they have just engaged in a sexual encounter. As David prepares to leave the house, he notices that his mother is going out for a job interview. When David and Jessie go to school together, David notices more changes have occurred. The basketball game they had previously won is now a lose due to the team's captain's broken leg. At that moment, Adam calls David. When David arrives, he sees Adam and Quinn engrossed in watching a movie about a plane crash. David asks about the situation, and Adam reveals that their time travel caused the changes they are witnessing. Adam proposes undoing the alternation and erasing any evidence of their concert attendance to restore the original timeline. David, who is deeply committed to preserving his relationship with Jessie, questions how their time travel could have caused the plane crash. Adam explains that the basketball captain's broken leg had a ripple effect, causing Sarah's father to miss the game where his son was playing. Instead, he took a flight that night, which ultimately resulted in a plane crash. David arrives home and finds relief in a picture of himself and Jesse. Overwhelmed by the fear of losing Jesse, he wants to go back alone again and stop the basketball player from breaking his leg. In the middle of David's preparation, Adam joins him, but in his mind, Adam believes that they are about to stop themselves from going to the event. He mentions that others are also on their way. David emphasizes that the responsibility lies with his solo time travel actions, and states that he can fix the situation by himself. David suddenly presses the button on the device and is transported back in time. David acts swiftly and pushes the basketball captain away from the oncoming car to prevent the accident. He then hurries back home, relieved that maybe he has altered the outcome. David quickly checks the news and discovers that the school's basketball team won the tournament, the plane didn't crash, and Jessie is still his girlfriend. At that moment, Christina enters the room and urges David to hurry, emphasizing the need to be somewhere by 5 o'clock. David, being confused, accompanies Christina to a hospital. Then he finds Adam lying on the hospital bed, causing worry and concern to flood over him. David asks Quinn if Adam has said anything, to which Quinn responds that Adam is unable to talk and is unaware of his surroundings. All they know is that the incident occurred after the basketball game. David rushes back to the basement of his house, overwhelmed with stress. With determination, he starts drawing timelines and eventually understands to what time he should go back. As David activates the device, Jesse unexpectedly stumbles upon him, but amid the interaction, they accidentally get transported back to the past together. After that, Jesse begins questioning David, and as he responds to her, she gradually realizes that David has broken the law multiple times by traveling alone. Jesse, overcome with confusion, finds herself unable to trust David anymore. At that moment, past Jesse is discovered, and both versions of Jesse come face to face. Suddenly, both Jessies vanish into the thin air, leaving behind only the switches of Jesse's car. Panicked and determined, David wants to revert anything to its original state before the device is tampered with. But to his disappointment, David realizes that the hydrogen supply has been exhausted, and the only option left is to obtain it from the school warehouse. Just as David contemplates his next move, Quinn approaches him with distressing news. Jessie is missing, and her whereabouts are unknown. David admits to Quinn the mess he has created and asserts that the only solution is to travel back in time to a point before the machine was even constructed. Quinn, who had come to realize the consequences of going back in time and potentially losing everything he had gained, strongly opposes the idea. At that precise moment, the police arrive, stating that they are searching for David Raskin. David seizes the opportunity and escapes, making his way towards the school storage room. Despite the police's pursuit, David successfully reaches the school warehouse, finds a way through, and finds hydrogen capsules. He then connects it to the device for use. Just as David presses the button, the police close in on him. However, before they can apprehend him, David is transported back in time to the year 2004 to his 7th birthday. David arrives at his house, opens the door and immediately heads towards the basement, the very place where the significant scene had unfolded before in the videotape. David makes his way down into the basement and is confronted with the sight of his father placing the unfinished time device inside the underground chamber. When his father spots David, he recognizes him and comprehends that David has successfully built the time machine. But David convinces him that the device will only bring trouble. They embrace each other tightly. David's father then ascends the stairs to join the celebration of his son's 7th birthday. Meanwhile, David discards the time travel device and all his plans into a bucket, setting them on fire. As he sits alone at the table in the basement, while every memory is passing through his mind, David vanishes into the unknown. David reappears on the same day, finding himself in the attic where he is searching for ideas. Just as before, Christina enters the room, and her gaze is drawn to her father's camera. At that very moment, David's eye falls upon another camera. It was the same camera that David, his sister, and their friends had used to film various stages. At school, David approaches Jesse and opens up with an unusual statement. This is gonna sound crazy, but I think we are about to change the world. Thanks for watching guys, see you next time.